Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Rev Report. I'm your host, Gavriel, coming to you live with our co-host, Moshe Frisch.
Howdy.
How do we do? We're back for another episode, Season 2, Episode 2, all new season. That was a funny bit we did right there, but we were just through in the second season. Episode 2, Mr. Shem, many more seasons, episodes, etc., yada, yada, yada. Before we begin, let's give a quick thank you to Hashem for allowing us to do what we love, and to please continue to let us do what we love and what I love, because I absolutely love cars, and talking about cars it's pretty easy, honestly. And for Moshe also, I could imagine, for Moshe as well, I could imagine it's very easy to talk about cars.
It's very fun. Amen. And one more thing I'd just like to add, I would like to add a quick mazel tov to Mr. Gabe Levy, the host of the Rev Report. I'm a little bit more formal for the occasion. I wish I told him, it was a bit of a surprise, so I'm sure he'll come next time, full tux, but...
Thank you. I am definitely a lucky man. Very blessed. I am engaged to a tremendous human being. Probably the sweetest person in the world, but that's for a different time.
Everyone in the crowd goes, "Aww."
Aww.
All right.
Before we get into the hot topics of tonight, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Number one, Precision Writers LLC, for all of your resume writing, content development, ghostwriting, copy editing, proofreading, and agency training needs. You can reach out to them via the website at www.precisionwriters.com, or call them via your phone. You could call them other ways, but I don't know what other ways are called.
I'm sure they have a fax machine somewhere.
Right, you probably could fax them, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Fax number.
At 970-333-9704. And next we have SK Jewelers for all of your lab-grown diamonds, eternity bands, stud earrings, and solitaire pendant necklaces. This is a WhatsApp number. Reach out to them at 718-951-0191 to get started. And lastly, our newest sponsor. Welcome to the club. Right, pretty new. It's been like a month, I think, since he got on board. But we have Travel with Ease. Streamline your traveling experience, anxiety-free, at Swift Travel Hub. You can reach out to them on their website at bookings@swifttravelhub.com, or reach out to them via WhatsApp at 877-340-6727. There's a difference between a WhatsApp number and a regular number, because some regular numbers, as you know, they don't have WhatsApp. So these...
Right, but you can't, right? If someone has a WhatsApp number, you can't call them just using your phone?
You could, but you have to call them, you probably have to call them via WhatsApp, no?
What happens if you just dial it on like a regular, like a landline?
I don't know if it's going to work. Is it going to work?
No clue, but they said WhatsApp, so probably just better idea to use WhatsApp.
Yeah, we're not number people. We are car people. So, Okay, jumping right in, we have, starting us off, we have the breaking news that Fiat released, which is actually funny because we always talk about Fiat. It's kind of a fan favorite for both of us, essentially. We both hate it, but...
Yeah, it's like a reverse fan favorite. It's kind of like a hater favorite, I would say, yeah.
Definitely hater favorite. I mean, I would love them if they were $18,000.
I would love them if they were good, but unfortunately not. There are very few bad cars. There are bad prices, you know?
Right.
Anything's good for the right price, but Fiat doesn't know how to price their cars.
That is definitely true. But now, they're coming out with a manual on their electric model. Can you imagine? The 500e manual. Does that make any sense? How can you have
electric?
A manual? Yes, sir. 2020.
No.
Fiat announces manual.
What? Okay, for those who don't know why this is crazy, besides the fact that
it's a hybrid.
Most cars.
Why does it say E? It's not a. It's not a.
It's
It's not.
okay, but that's still okay.
It's a hybrid.
Still very weird. That's
still, but it's the
very
500.
weird. Yeah.
6-speed manual transmission. Wow.
What? Why?
Wow.
To make their cars cheaper?
1 liter 3-cylinder.
Oh my
goodness.
God.
Oh wow.
It's a putt-putt to Fiat.
Wow.
You are so awful. You are terrible. You are so bad. I love it. They're the worst company. You know what? Right now, Fiat
I know, but look,
is the worst car company.
Whoa. Before you jump to it, to that statement,
that's pretty...
a lot of people like manuals. This could be an interesting niche to go down.
Fun to drive. It's a 1 liter inline 3. That's a hybrid. No one's having fun in this thing. No one. Why are you manual? That's good. The thing is apparently supposed to be cheaper. Traffic. What?
It's supposed to be cheaper than the regular base price.
Modern day, I don't know if
500D.
manual's that much cheaper because like we're manufacturing automatic transmissions so much more than manual transmissions, so that I think the parts are just way more readily available. I don't see why manuals should be that much cheaper nowadays. Obviously, they are because they're less complicated, but I don't see why they should be that much cheaper nowadays. I think the price is negligible, and I think at the expense of having to suffer in that car in traffic is probably insane. It's not a big car, I assume, right?
No, it's the same. It's the same.
Fiat, right?
Fiat,
So,
it's the same 500.
tiny car, hybrid, weak engine, manual. That is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. I hate on a lot of cars, a lot of car companies and cars. I don't think it's the car company that I hate the most, but objectively the worst car company. Because even, I don't know, like
I don't disagree. I don't
What?
disagree. I
Yeah.
don't disagree with that, by the way.
Everyone knows I despise electric cars. I probably hate like Rivian more or Polestar more. But even they understand their base. They have people who buy their cars, right? They know who they're building cars for. Fiat has no clue what they're doing. Absolutely no clue. If this car sells more than 10, I'll be surprised. I want to talk to someone who goes out of the way to buy this car.
The reason why, I agree with you that Fiat is a terrible company. I agree with you 1,000%. I think Stellantis, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Fiat Alfa Romeo.
The other ones are good.
Trash.
Fiat. Those we disagree on. That's just you.
Fine, so we can disagree on those.
Yeah.
Fine,
Yeah.
just this. But if you think about it from a market analysis perspective, even from to think about the future of a company, of the brand, if you were the CEO of Fiat, this is definitely something that could potentially attract new buyers. Last week, I think it was last week, we spoke about the 500D. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure. Or I did my own segment on it. But it's a teeny car with a price point of a big car. $32,000 for this teeny little car. The only thing they had to do was to make the car affordable. Make it $16K. Make it $18K max. It would be much better. Much more people would buy it, for sure. And it would be much higher on the rankings.
Yeah, for sure.
But the fact that it was 32 was like crazy.
It's,
now,
again,
if you look
it's
at
not a bad car. It's
right,
a bad
exactly.
price.
Bad price for what you get. 1,000%. Now, if you are, let's say, the CEO of Fiat and you're looking for the future, the facts are that there is a large market. There is a large market demand for manual transmissions. Yes, majority of the market wants automatics because they want to have, like, it's just too
Way
hard.
easier to operate, yeah.
Much easier to operate. Much easier. The majority of the public wants automatics. But you do have a large amount of people that would also like manuals. And most car
Sport
manufacturers...
cars, for fun cars. No one's getting a Fiat 500 being a manual.
Not necessarily. Imagine
Manuals
if...
are like Supras, Porsches, even like a Subaru. What's the one like fun Subaru?
BRZ?
Yeah, it's like those are the fun cars, like the drift cars or the sporty cars. No one wants a manual putt car. No one wants that. You want a manual for the vroom. You want a manual for the go, for the skidding, the drifting, the turning, the acceleration. That you're not getting it in this hybrid. In a Fiat.
True, but if you can maintain that, if you could get all that, meaning if you get a manual, let's say, I'll make a picture for you. You're a young guy who loves cars. You don't have a lot of money. You want a car. You want to get an enthusiast. You want to get some car that's exciting. You're looking to get a manual. Most manufacturers do not offer manuals on their cars anymore. Facts. Most manufacturers that are in your price point do not offer manuals anymore. That's also a fact. Now, you look at the market, and you see that you can get a Fiat 500 hybrid teeny car manual transmission they haven't put out pricing on this vehicle yet, but it's said to be significant. It's said Fiat claims that it's going to be cheaper than the regular 500e. So let's say that Fiat comes out and slashes. If Fiat comes down and puts a $29,000 price tag on it, I am with you. Terrible choice. Terrible idea. But if Fiat comes and slaps a $19,000 price tag on it, a $20,000 price tag on it, so $20,000 for a manual transmission, where else are you going to get that on the market today for a brand new car?
So there are options. You can get cheaper. You can get mostly used, but I'm sure there are a couple.
Brand new.
I'm sure there are a couple. It's very rare. I'll give you that. But looking at Fiat's past, I see no reason why this car would ever be $20,000. I don't see it. I don't see why this car would be cheaper than $28,000. I think it's going to be around the 30s. I don't see why it's going to be cheaper. Oh, because it's a manual? It's a hybrid. It's going to be more expensive. I don't like the fact that it's a manual cancels out any price lowering you would get from making it a hybrid. Why is this car going to be cheaper? Because it's a manual, but it's a hybrid. Mm-hmm. Where I don't see where the cheap is coming from. And Fiat has given us no reason to believe in them at all. You can get a way cheaper manual car. And again, I understand that, you want a manual, right? The manual itself isn't a positive. The manual enhances a positive, right? Like how you can't put a supercharger on a putt-putt because it won't make the car any better. In fact, it'll actually harm the car. If you put a supercharger on a Dodge like Hellcat, then yeah, that car's gonna be faster. But if you put it on a already bad car, it's gonna make it worse. It enhances. It's not good in and of itself, right? If you wanted to learn how to practice manual for eventually getting a like higher, more sporty manual car, sure. But this isn't the car to do that on because it's not going to be cheap. I don't understand. I can't think of a single reason why you would ever buy this car. I have no clue unless you're an insane Fiat lover, which I have never met. Baruch Hashem, because if I ever met a Fiat lover, I would throw hands immediately.
I mean, we might be Fiat lovers if the price was at $18,000. I would be a lover.
$18,000 car.
Sure.
If it's an $18,000 car, fantastic car, amazing. I want to see it. I want to see the price tag. I want to see it.
We'll get it. I don't think we have.
I won't believe it till I see it.
Yeah, they don't have the pricing out yet, but that is something we will wait and see. Okay, on to our next topic. Maybe next week we'll have Fiat again. Who knows? Maybe they'll drop another car. That'd be good. Maybe they'll bring back the Spider. Ooh, we would love to see that. Maybe.
Yeah, for a cool,
next
easy
we have
$300,000.
Yeah. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me if they bump up the price on that too. Yeah, doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's the craziest.
I don't know how they're alive. I don't know how the company's still afloat. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I hope it goes down. I hope it does.
Oh my gosh! I mean, according to the numbers, we spoke about it last week. They sold what? They sold less in their entire year than Toyota sells in a day. Yes, they sold like what, 2,000 cars
in a year. In a year, I thought 150,000. I don't even know what on earth I was thinking, but
how many cars?
They sold 10,000, I think.
Sell in the USA in 2024.
10 grand, I think.
2024.
I don't know.
What just happened?
Nice.
Oh, whoa! 1 second.
I believe it was 10,000 cars, which makes sense.
What is going on here?
I don't know. Anyway, what are you looking at?
We'll have to find it at a different time, but they sold not even yet. It was terrible. They sold a
very bad.
Fiat, specifically Fiat the manufacturer, not Fiat in general. The Fiat car line, not Fiat Automotive Group in general, which is Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram.
Right, not Stellantis.
Alfa Romeo, Fiat. We're talking about specifically Fiat with the 500e. That's what we're talking about. Next, we have one of the biggest news stories since our last podcast was the release of the images of the all-new 2026 Toyota RAV4. I don't know did you see a picture?
Currently, no.
Let me show you a picture. It looks like a Nissan Rogue, essentially, but it's a beautiful...
It's a competitor for the Wrangler, I believe, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would put it in the competitor... No, not
outdoor,
it's still...
off-road.
No, not really. It's still maintaining... It's maintaining its usual, its regular class Nissan Rogue, Honda CR-V. That's really Toyota RAV4. The same class. Not really going for. It's not really a much more rugged car than usual. It's the same. It's still in the same class, but it definitely has a. This is from Road and Track. This is just some pictures.
Wait, I was thinking of something entirely different. Wait, what
you were thinking of the last week we had the Surf. We spoke about the Surf. The 4Runner Surf.
Toyota made a Wrangler competitor, no?
Yeah, the 4Runner Surf. The Surf Edition.
The 4Runner. Yeah. My bad. I apologize.
Spoke about that last week, but the RAV4, it looks like a Rogue, essentially, but it's nice. I'm not anti it. The RAV4 in general has been a super popular car. I want to just break down how big this move is for Toyota.
Yeah. What's the powertrain on this?
It's going to be the same. I don't know if they put those out yet, but I don't really read much into it aside from the fact that it's essentially the same car, just completely different revamp, exterior and interior. Let's see here. I don't know if Car and Driver... I didn't see anything from Car and Driver on it yet. Let's see. Let's check Car and Driver. Car Driver has these all broken down.
Not a sponsor, just a very good site, and we recommend using it.
2026 Toyota. I want to just tell you some numbers as I do the Toyota RAV4 Car and Driver. There are some numbers that are absolutely astounding, which when you look at those numbers and you look at what Toyota just did with this releasing this new RAV4 into the wild, well, showing us they're going to release it. Let's see, engine and performance, right? 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, 226 horsepower. It's really the same. It's nothing crazy. It's really not. It's the same. It's essentially it's very, very similar to the previous model for sure. It's not going to lay up the track at all. It's not going to be super quick. It's going to be comfortable.
No, it's supposed to be comfortable. That's not what they're going for. So I don't see what it has to be.
They're going for comfort and, I guess, affordability. You could say. Look at this beautiful, beautiful interior. Looks it looks a little bit like a BZ4X, I guess, with this screen right here, the gauge cluster and the screen that's built into the center stack. But it's a nice piece. This is a hybrid, yes.
Okay.
The 2026 RAV4 is a hybrid. Let me show you. I want to just bring up some numbers for you. I'll read it to you quickly. Numbers that I looked up before. The RAV4 in the United States of America. This car is one of the most. So again, we have in this segment, the biggest competitors. You have the RAV4, the CR-V, the Nissan Rogue. You could say let's bring up the Kia Sportage. You have I'm blanking here, the Hyundai Santa Fe. The Ford Escape, maybe, I don't know, Ford Explorer. This segment is a tremendously aggressive segment. Now, if you look at the numbers, in 2024, the Toyota RAV4, Toyota sold 475,193 RAV4s.
Wow.
That's, again, 475,193 RAV4s. That's more than the CR-V, the Sportage, Santa Fe, the Outback, the Rogue. The Hyundai Santa Fe, Hyundai sold 113,343 units in 2024. That's crazy. It's the most sold SUV in that size. Let's say the mid-size SUV segment. Yeah. The Honda CR-V is in second place at 405,791 units.
Wow.
This is a tremendously popular car on this market, and now Toyota's coming and giving us a beautiful refresh. This is gonna just blow the market out of the water. It's gonna be.
Normally, I'm not a huge fan of modern looking and hybrid cars generally look more modern, but it's a very nice exterior and the interior is also very nice. It's a really good looking car. Yeah, I think this thing's gonna sell. This thing's gonna sell a lot. I think it
is definitely gonna. What a smart move by Toyota, taking the most popular mid-sized family SUVs and revamping it to make it even. Potentially making it a hybrid, which increases the MPG, which is huge. Instead of making it two separate models, you have just a hybrid, RAV4 hybrid.
Yep.
Going ahead and giving it the aesthetics of a very, very nice car, I guess you could say. Borderline. I wouldn't say borderline luxury, but it's just nice. It's much nicer than the previous RAV4 for sure.
Yeah.
And if that's sold, then why would if anything, this is going to increase their sales tremendously.
For sure. For sure.
It's gonna be
I don't think it's a difficult decision at all for Toyota. They're just like, this thing sells, let's do it again, you know?
Yeah, this is tremendously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let me just
Toyota's
confirm what
I just. Even bigger.
It's unreal. It's unreal. I want to see what I just said if that's true.
They really are the definition hybrid, of we know what we're doing. You know, if you have to think of a car company that just consistently just performs exactly what they're supposed to do over and over and over and over and over again, Toyota. They're amazing. They are a fantastic car company delivering fantastic value cars just over and over and over again. They never miss. They're really good.
On the ball. Definitely on the ball. And I will confirm that the new RAV4 is only a hybrid. You cannot get it in a non-hybrid setup, which is one of the main differences between last year's or the 2025 model and the models going forward. Now, breaking down into our going into our third segment, we're gonna touch on the Toyota numbers in general and more numbers as we go along. But going to number 3, we have Chrysler. What should Chrysler do? Chrysler, for all of you that know or don't know, Chrysler used to make the 200, the 300, two sedans. The 300 was a seemingly very, very popular sedan
Yeah.
In my opinion, I saw it a lot. A lot of people bought it. A lot of people that had money would have the 300, which was weird. The 200 was popular when it came out. I remember, if I remember correctly, it was the first car to do not a stick shift. What's that shifter called? A knob shifter. A knob shift.
Yeah.
I remember when it came out. That was like the biggest. Like, whoa, the knob shifter from the 200. Maybe it was like the 2015 era. I'm not sure when that was. It was around that time frame. I remember watching a lot of commercials for it. It became one of my favorite cars simply because of that shifter. That's before I knew a lot more about Chrysler. But right now, the Chrysler only has one car. They have the Pacifica, and they also have the the Voyager, which is the baseline Pacifica, and they just rebranded the baseline Pacifica and they called it the Voyager. And so they officially sell two cars, the Voyager and the Pacifica.
Right,
Most people don't even know
because they're almost exactly the same.
They are exactly the same. Aside from the front face, they are literally exactly the same.
We've had this discussion, previous podcast.
They simply just took the base model Pacifica and they made it into its own entity.
Yeah, they made it a little bit. A little bit, That's
all I did. But what I was thinking was, coming into this podcast before I did research, was that I thought that Chrysler should really just give up. Like, it's not, just stop making anything. Just give up or come back to the sedans. But after running some numbers, this probably will surprise you. In 2025, so far, in the first quarter, Chrysler has sold 32,409 Pacificas.
Okay.
Pretty impressive.
Okay.
The Honda Odyssey, 31,779 Odysseys have been sold in the first quarter. So the Pacifica passes the Odyssey.
More.
So far, in the first quarter of 2025, the Sienna beats it at 33,876. I'm not even going to get into the Kia Carnival. Not even going to get there because it's lower.
Negligible.
But in 2025, the Pacific so far. In 2024, the numbers were also pretty not so bad. Definitely not as close as the Sienna Odyssey. The Sienna sold 75,037 units in 2024.
God, okay.
The Odyssey sold 71,933 units.
As if Toyota needs any more money. Wow.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
The Pacifica sold 59,273 units. So it's not last. The Carnival from Kia, 49,726 units.
Okay.
So it's not really, if you look at it from the number perspective, yes, it seems like Chrysler's a failing company, because Stellantis is pretty much a failing company. But if you look at the numbers specifically from Chrysler, they're putting out some good numbers. That's pretty competitive for a brand that makes just one car.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yes, granted, they're putting everything into this minivan,
but
right, essentially. But being within 16,000 of Toyota,
that's
not bad for a full year. It's not so bad.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking. You're the CEO of Chrysler, right? What is your next move? You want your company to grow, because if you keep on this track, you're probably going to fall behind. And there's only so many times you can revamp the same car, right?
Right.
So what do you do? Because the concept of, like, if you are a sedan company, you just make more sedans. But a minivan is a very specific shape. You can change up sedans a bunch, but a minivan is like, everyone knows what a minivan shape, and it has the sliding doors. Right. And that's what it is. What else can you change about it? Sedans, you can switch it up. An SUV, you can switch it up. You can do mid-size, you can do full size, you can do extra large, you can do medium, you can do a bunch, But with a minivan, it's a very specific shape, very specific design. There's only so many tweaks you can do to it. So I don't know where they're going to go unless they try to go for an entirely different market, which I don't see really possible.
Maybe bring back the 300.
I don't think that would be great, because sedans are a dying car design. More people... For now.
They'll be back.
I think they will. But is it not a good idea to put in the investment for those now? Because there is going to be the age of SUV for a little while until sedans have their great return. But I don't know what Chrysler's next move is. And I don't think I know what Chrysler... I don't even think Chrysler knows what Chrysler's next move is, because they haven't done anything, they haven't announced anything. As far as I'm aware, they're not designing anything. I probably wouldn't know that. It's probably classified.
They actually scrapped their biggest concept car. They had a design for a car. I forgot what it was called, but they scrapped it recently.
What was it? What kind of car?
I think it was just like a fast sports car. I read it somewhere. I didn't actually look so far into it, but it was scrapped years ago. So.
If they went to the high-end market, that would be really interesting.
Well, that's what they were trying to get to with the 300. The 300 was a pretty high-end car. Even the Pacifica. Yeah. The Pacifica is the most high-end
minivan,
base model car, minivan in the segment. what you get with the base model Pacifica, you don't get on the base model Sienna or the Odyssey or the Carnival. That's probably why they sold so many units.
Yeah.
You know, it adds. They did do. I will give credit where credit is due, even though I hate Chrysler, as we all know. But they did. I will say they do put a lot of fancier features on the Pacifica, which definitely causes people to be more attracted to the Pacifica over the Odyssey or the Sienna, especially over the Carnival. I mean, that's probably why they sold so many, even though not nearly as much as a Sienna or an Odyssey, but it's still not crazy. Within a 15,000 unit margin, that's pretty impressive for a car company that we would imagine is not doing so well. Maybe, what do you think of this? If Chrysler came up and made a fully electric minivan, meaning a full EV, they have a plug-in hybrid, full EV minivan that competes with the Volkswagen ID Buzz. No other manufacturer has a fully electric EV. The Sienna's not full EV, the Odyssey's not full EV, the Carnival's not full EV. It would be the first, I guess you could say, regular minivan or like that. The Volkswagen ID Buzz is very much, people don't envision as a minivan because it's new.
Yeah.
And if you would have Chrysler come and take a Pacifica, which is seemingly a pretty popular car.
Clearly.
According to the numbers, it's pretty popular. Yes, there are only 4 minivan options to choose from in the U.S. If you take away the ID Buzz, it's the third most popular out of all 4. But it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
Right. It could have been. They could have sold 30,000 units.
Sure.
They could have sold 20,000 units less than.
Floor wiped with them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So they're not doing so bad. But if they go with a full EV minivan, the first full EV minivan that's in the regular minivan segment, maybe that's a way to look. Maybe that's an avenue. Truth is, I don't know if I would go for it just because I don't know the future. We're going to talk about this next, actually. Well, 2 segments, the future of the EV market. But that might be an avenue to go down if you're a Chrysler.
Yeah. So I hear it. You're going with the different is better approach, which that's not a terrible approach, and that's what a bunch of car companies do, and it's worked many times, and it still works. Right. With the Cybertruck, it had like a burst cell. No one really buys it anymore because guess what? It's not that different anymore because everyone has one. Not everyone, but I'm saying like you see a bunch on the road. It used to be you see one once every month. You'd be like, guys, look at the Cybertruck, and now it's like, ew, So exactly, because it was new. It was cool,
right.
But it's lost its different. I mean, it's still different, but
it's ugly.
It's lost a shock factor, right? It's lost a shock factor. So you could go for the we're different. We have a fully electric minivan. Why am I opposed to that? Because minivan people generally aren't people in the market for an electric vehicle. 1,
right?
2, because the EV hype is generally dying. It's still,
right.
But it's gone its parabola and it's beginning its descent. Right. I could be wrong. It could just be it could keep going, but I don't think that people would be running to buy a fully electric minivan. I could be entirely wrong, of course. That's just what I think. I don't think that an EV person is a minivan person, That's why, it
right, because they want something that could last them far.
Exactly. They want hybrids, right? That's what they want. That's why it completely bogged my mind when Ford went with the F-150 Lightning, because an F-150 person is not an electric car person. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but a farmer in Kansas does not have a Tesla supercharger anywhere near his house. So I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but sure. But generally you have to think about the kinds of people buying your cars, So if you're going like sedan or mid-size SUV, those normally sell very well in highly populated areas. California, New York, those are generally very high electric areas, But minivans are normally more family-oriented. And I feel like people who buy EVs generally aren't in families, if you know what I'm saying. It's generally like it's more of like it's like a commute car, It's not a let's go on a family vacation car,
Right. I mean, there aren't really a lot of large EVs on the market. You have the EV9 from Kia.
Right.
You have the Ioniq 9 now from Hyundai. You have the Cadillac, what's called the Escalade IQ. You have the Mystique, but in general, I hear what you're saying. Even the ID Buzz, it's like it's the first of its kind, where it's basically a minivan,
different.
full EV. Very different. No, I hear what you're saying, because most consumers. So what you're saying? Let me just break down what you're saying. Most most consumers that are in most minivan consumers, like the people that are in the minivan market, are not the type of people that will be comfortable buying an EV because you have a lot of a big factor in a big deterrent for people buying EVs is the fact that there are not a lot of chargers around, and going on a long road trip is pretty difficult. You have to plan it out, you have to map it out, as opposed to if you drive a regular minivan, you just go. You go, and if you run out of gas, okay, so you stop every 30 miles on the highway. You have a gas station. In the middle of
Yosemite National Park, you know,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying. But don't you think there still is a big minivan market for people that aren't necessarily commuting far? I mean, if you have more than 5 kids, even more than 3 kids, most people a lot of people like the larger SUVs. But let's say you have 4 or 5 bigger kids. A large SUV isn't going to cut it. It's just not enough room. Or 6 kids.
Just because the market hasn't been tried, it doesn't mean there is a market for it, you know? Like, how big is the market for a 600 horsepower minivan, you know? Just because it hasn't been done doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sell well just because no one else is doing it, right? I mean, personally, that would be pretty cool, though. That would be pretty cool.
That would definitely call it. People would
We
definitely
might have
buy
an
it.
idea. We might have started.
If they were the same price? If it was the same price?
By the way, okay, we're starting a car company now.
People would buy a full electric. Here we go.
Fully supercharged.
Well, if you have a full EV minivan, chances of it being much quicker than the competition is significant.
True.
Right.
But again, it's the overlap, right? People who are buying minivans aren't looking for performance.
Right. I hear what you say. Right.
It's like before, what I was saying before. People who are looking for manuals aren't looking for a low-powered putt-putt. You know, they just don't cross over. That market doesn't cross. If you're going to merge ideas, you need to have people that want both of those things, right?
No, I agree with you. I hear what you're saying. I definitely hear what you're saying. But I'm very interested to see. Well, I'm intrigued to see what Chrysler will do in the future. If they will stick with the Pacifica, if they will bring back the 300 or the 200, add a new car, add an EV, do something, add a truck, maybe add an SUV.
They need one. They can't. Maybe they will not last long on getting third best sales. You know.
Right. I don't know. It's weird. Chrysler's in a weird. Chrysler itself is in a weird spot because the Chrysler brand is targeting the higher end of the entry level class.
Yeah,
they're not a luxury brand. They try to be luxury, but they're not.
They're not.
Right?
No one thinks luxury when they think Chrysler. They think minivan because that's all they're selling.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe like a luxury SUV, or not a luxury SUV, a knockoff.
They're cornered. They don't have a foot in any other market, and all the other markets are locked. Every other market's already in steep competition. What market they're going to go for?
Right. So that's why I would say the minivan EV market,
like stock in, is the minivan market, and they're not even doing best. They're barely in the top 3. You know, I'm sure Honda's going to come up with a really good Odyssey soon, and that thing's going to take over. So,
well, the Sienna is always going to be at the top, probably.
Well, yeah, Toyota's Toyota.
Toyota is literally
let's go
the goat.
Places. But
literally the goat.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. Speaking about going places, on to the next. Let's talk about Range Rover. Range Rover, Land Rover. For me, this company it's just an interesting company for me. They don't have. I've never been a fan. As a kid, I used to like them a lot because they were interesting. They were expensive. They were somewhat not new, but you didn't see a lot of Range Rovers. So when I saw one, I would be very excited.
They were almost exotic to like your 6-year-old mind, you know?
Yeah, they were. They were so exotic. I never saw one. It's like, I remember the first time I sat in one, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, oh my gosh, a Range Rover. Oh, it's so cool.
Right.
But as I got older, I don't know. Their performance doesn't match their luxury. Meaning, I think, in my opinion, that, for example, my father was once renting a car, and he asked me what I thought about the Range Rover Evoque, which is the entry level Range Rover, small, very small car, and I said that very comfortable, not powerful. It's slow. It's slow for what it is, and that's how I look at most of the Range Rover lineup. Yes, some of them do have power, but for the price point that they're at, and for what they're trying to accomplish, I don't know if they excel for me. Yes, obviously, if there are cars in general that are coming to give you just comfort, and comfort is fine. Like some Infinities. Infinities aren't so powerful, but they give you tremendous comfort.
Right, they're not trying to tell you that they're going to give you power, you know?
Exactly, but Range Rover...
Right, they try to be a luxury sport. Again, we've talked about this every single episode so far, and this is my philosophy. Why am I buying your cars? There are so many car companies like these. You can rattle off 50 car companies, but only 10 that anyone would actually buy from. Because the other 40 are being beaten by the other 10. Because the other 10 have mastered their specific thing. And their 40 used to be in competition, but their competition got so much better at doing what these companies are trying to do. When you think of sporty luxury, what are you thinking of?
Thinking of BMW.
Thinking of BMW.
Audi.
Mercedes-Benz.
Maybe a Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah. You're not
Acura,
thinking Range Rover anymore.
Not
That doesn't pop immediately.
Right.
If your car company isn't the first, or at least one of the first names that pops into my mind when I'm thinking of what your brand identity is, you failed. You have failed as a car company. And guess what? There's nothing you can do. In the extremely competitive car world that we have, you have to already have been in a market before trying to get anywhere in there. You can't stick your hand in the elevator door and try to see if you can sneak your way in there. The markets are closed. You can't get into any new markets unless you're like Toyota. They can get into the Wrangler market because they're such a massive company. They have the R&D to be able to make a car that can compete with these companies. I've already been R&Ding these companies for so long because they're just a massive company. But if you are a company like Range Rover, you're not that big of a company anymore. You used to be big. You used to be fancy. You used to be cool. You lost. You lost in what your company is, right? If Toyota fails with the, the 4Runner, that's their Wrangler
4Runner
competition.
Surf, yeah.
Yeah. If they fail on the 4Runner and the Wrangler beats them out, which is an entirely possible scenario, and maybe, probably, then they wouldn't have failed as a company because they haven't failed their core value, which is we make point A, point B cars that are comfy and affordable. Because they're going out of their way to try something new. If they succeed in that, Kol Tov, amazing, real good, more money. But they haven't failed in their core value, and they have it locked down. They are the point A, point B cars. They make them, and they produce them, and they sell them. But the second you failed at what your company is, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? You have to pull a Jaguar. You have to Hail Mary and, chuck a football.
Take a year off.
Yeah, exactly. Take a year off and all of a sudden be like, you know what?
Yeah, we're not making cars.
Get rid of the Jaguar from our Jaguar logo. Make a car that rivals the hardness of the Cybertruck. Perfect right angles. I don't know what that thing is. Make the weirdest commercial you've ever seen in your entire life. And hope to Hashem Yerachim that it works. And it didn't. And their company's dead. But I appreciate the effort. They realized,
they'll be back.
Guys, I don't know what to do. And so they tried something else, and it didn't work. Hopefully they'll be back because they used to be really good. They just didn't sell, which is unfortunate. Because they got beat. Their core identity got beat.
They were just bad. They just built bad cars.
Yeah,
that's
just
it.
Bad
cars.
Their
Didn't
cars
last at all.
They'd start up for 3 seconds, they'll see check engine light immediately.
Cars were junk. Yeah, I mean,
really bad.
Land Rover is in the same boat essentially because they are the same. Land Rover, Jaguar, they're pretty much sister companies. Mm-hmm. They're junky. They're not as junky, but they are also very junky. Now, here's some numbers because I definitely agree with you that I don't think that Land Rover or Range Rover really live up to their hype. But I don't know if I would go and say that they're a failed company just yet because they do give you. In general, on that topic, they do give you they give you some performance that you won't necessarily find on a regular entry level car. But again, the truth is though is that in general for what they want, what they're going for, which is luxury sport, they don't really deliver unless you go on the much higher models. But you're paying a ton of money for that. Anywho, numbers in 2024, meaning the 2024 fiscal year. BMW sold 346 cars.
Okay.
Land Rover sold 95,000 cars. Ooh. Now, obviously, BMW offers a much bigger lineup with sedans, crossovers, large SUVs, and Land Rover offers, they have the Evoque, the Discovery, the Sport, Land Rover, Defender. I think they have another one out too. I'm not sure. I think they're coming out with another one. So they obviously don't offer the quantity that these other manufacturers have. Mercedes sold 374,000 units. Lexus sold 379,000 units.
They're high-end cars, so they don't need to sell as much to make good enough profit.
So the truth is, though, that they do stand in comparison to like Lincoln, for example, which is which sold 48,817 cars in 2024 in the 2024 fiscal year, and Genesis, which sold 31,821 cars, which is pretty small, considering that Genesis seems to be a much more popular brand.
Well, they're a newer company, but by this point they should be pretty well known.
Let's say Lincoln. Let's just compare it to Lincoln, because Lincoln offers a small lineup. Also, Volvo is a little bigger, but Lincoln's small. Lincoln's 4 cars: the Corsair, the Nautilus, the Aviator, and the Navigator. And Land Rover offers, I think we just said six models, right?
Yeah.
The Evoque, Discovery, Defender, Range Rover Sport. There's also another one, Sport L, I think. We could look it up, but it's about between 4 and 6 or 4 to 7 models.
Okay.
Lincoln, that's actually a pretty significant gap between Lincoln and Land Rover. That's pretty impressive, which seems to show that Land Rover isn't really failing in what it's trying to accomplish. Yes, I definitely think that they could give a little more power to make it more of a luxury sport brand, for sure. But according to the consumers, Land Rover isn't failing as bad as we think it is. It's definitely not excelling. I wouldn't call this excelling.
Yeah.
Considering that you would think Land Rover is like, whoa, and they're trying to compete with Mercedes, BMW, Lexus, Acura. They're trying to compete with those brands.
Yeah.
Maybe even trying to compete with Porsche. Trying to compete with the higher end market. Lincoln is pretty high end, but I don't know if it's necessarily the same breeding grounds as Land Rover. I don't think so. It really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
When you think of a Lincoln,
I'd say they're pretty close. I would say
they're pretty close. Yeah. But if you go to anybody, if you let's say put a Land Rover and a Lincoln in front of you, and you ask someone to identify which one's the luxury car, which one has a higher price tag, 9 out of 10 people would probably say the Range Rover, just because of the badge.
Sure.
Even though in reality it's not so in all the models.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
But they seem to be doing better than we think, but not as good as they should be.
Which, by the way, that ruins them more, because if everyone's idea of Range Rover is that level of luxury and they're not producing that level of luxury, no one's going to buy their cars.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens in 2025. But,
yeah, we'll see.
It's interesting to see. Truth is, maybe they can get up to. I wonder how many Lexus RXs were sold. That's what would you? Let's run a quick number real quick.
Okay.
Which BMW do you think competes with let's say what, the BMW X7 competing with the Range Rover with the Range Rover Sport, the X6?
With the Range Rover Sport,
which one would you throw in there?
I would say the X6. X6 sounds pretty good.
Because how many BMW X6s were sold in the U.S. we'll do 2024, just because 2025 is not over. In 2024 question mark. This is from, let's see. BMW sold 1,960 BMW X6s. Okay? That's not bad for one specific car. I mean, truth is, it's very similar to the Fiat 500e, but we're not going to get into that. But
yeah, well, okay,
this is one of their many cars.
It's a much, much higher end car than the Fiat 500e. So the profit difference is probably insane.
Yeah, definitely much more significant. Mm-hmm. Let's see how many Range Rover Sports were sold in the USA in 2024. Let's see, we have 67,700 units. That doesn't make so. What else made up? Interesting. Wow.
What?
Significant. Range Rover Sport.
They sold 67,000.
How does it make sense that my number? Let me just check something real quick. Range Rover. Let's do the Evoque. The Range Rover Evoque were sold in 2024.
What?
6,000. Oh, maybe that makes sense. 6,000 Evoques. Yeah, 66,000 Sports were sold. That's.
We do live in a bit of a bubble, right? Because Range Rover doesn't sell nearly as well in the U.S. as it does in England.
Well, this is in the U.S.
Oh, this is in the U.S.
Yeah.
So what the heck's going on here?
66,000.
I don't see any of these cars on the road.
6,000 units of 6,000 Evoques were sold. Let's see, Evoque What's the other Range Rover? Discovery.
The Defender.
Were sold in the U.S. in 2024. Well, I mean, I did give you the other numbers, so I'm assuming those are accurate. 'Cause I got them from the same place I'm getting these numbers.
Yeah.
So,
that is actually really shocking to me.
what did I say? Did I say
6,000, 65,000, or
I
6,500?
I have it right here in front of me. We have Range Rover sold. No, actually, it's not in front of me. That's a different number. But Range Rover sold, according to these stats I got online, Range Rover sold in 2020 in the 2024 fiscal year. They sold 95,000 cars, which is pretty good in the U.S.
That's not bad.
So
That's not bad. How much worldwide? Because, or like England, or because they.
worldwide.
Yeah, I've been to Europe once, and there are
Significantly
no
more, probably.
American cars on the road. There are
How many
only European cars, and like
Range.
Toyota.
/ Range Rover sell in 2024 worldwide. Jaguar Land Rover sold a total of 431,733 cars globally.
Well, there you go.
66,199 units sold specifically for the Range Rover model. Interesting, very interesting. So they sold a lot of cars, but this isn't even close to what Toyota would sell. Not even close. Obviously, it's a different market.
Uncomparable, yeah.
Let me see. Let's do BMW. How many cars did BMW sell? For example, that's who they're trying to compete with. Yeah, over 2 million. That's huge.
BMW
Give me
sold
another
2
competitor,
million?
Lexus.
BMW sold 2 million.
Lexus.
my
Lexus sold 307,000 vehicles.
Okay.
I feel like, okay, there's
Well, that's
something off
Toyota,
with these.
so yeah.
No, but there's something off with these numbers here because in America, according to the numbers I just told you, in America, in the U.S. in 2024, Lexus sold 379,589 cars. Now, okay, 1 second. Actually, the truth is that the reason why these numbers are different is because when I say 2024, the numbers I gave you were for the fiscal 2024 year, but the numbers that I'm bringing up now are for just a different time period. So, and it's from 2 different sources, so we're just going to stick to the sources I took originally, which was help. I got help from someone, so we're going to stick to the previous numbers. But I guess we can safely say that Range Rover, they're not doing as bad as we think, but they also could be doing much better.
They definitely could be, but
Right.
the hat's off to Range Rover. They're doing a lot better than I thought they were.
Yeah, pretty
good for them.
surprising to me as well.
Yeah.
But moving on. I mean, when I was doing the research, I was a little bit surprised to see how seemingly popular how popular they seem to be. But again, I still think they could be doing a better job. Okay, here we go. Moving on to the next segment, we have a segment that I think might be my favorite discussion to have with any car person. We have which sedans, well, in general, the sedan market is pretty much shot.
Okay.
Most manufacturers are killing off their sedans, aside from the regular, your mainstream manufacturers. So you still have the Camry, we still have the K5, we still have the Honda Accord, the Avalon was revamped into the Crown. There's a lot luxury brands. For example, the Volvo S60 is going. You do have sedans still from Genesis and Lexus. Truth is, there really isn't. The sedan market isn't as small as we think, but a lot of manufacturers are moving away from sedans, and they're with the new cars with R&D, with new cars that manufacturers are developing. They're either developing EVs or they're developing what's it called, SUVs, mid-size SUVs, crossovers. But which manufacturers would you want to bring back a sedan, develop a totally new sedan, completely new sedan, and which specifically which sedans do you want to see back on the market in the next, let's say in the next 5 years? Which manufacturers do you want to have created and developed a sedan and put on the market, and which sedans do you hope to see back on the market?
Yeah. So I want at least one from a couple genres of cars, you know? I definitely want to see the return of point A, point B cars, like a Toyota. What was Toyota's main sedan called? Sorry, I'm blanking.
Well, the Avalon was the biggest one.
So I want to see the Toyota Avalon come back because point A, point B sedans just totally makes sense to me. You know, less car means less price. And I don't think you need a midsize for point A, point B. You know, if you're just going to work I don't see why you need that big of a car. I think a sedan would be great for that. I think the Avalon is a fantastic idea. I also kind of like the higher end, not like high end like BMW, higher end like a Lincoln sedan. You know, they already have a couple of those, right? Those are
They
nice.
don't have anymore. They used to have the
They used
Continental.
to. So a Lincoln
specifically.
sedan would be great. I don't see anything's wrong with the Lincoln sedan. I think those are fine. You know, they're higher end, but they're not like too fancy. They're not crazy expensive, but they're nice. You know, and those nicer sedans are much better than the same level of nice in a mid-size SUV for me. Because when it's in a sedan, they could focus more on making the car nice instead of having to spend more on, you know, making more car. So the cars generally, they also look a lot nicer. They're a lot more sleek when they're smaller and in sedan form instead of mid-size SUV, which most car companies are going for nowadays. But then again, you have to go with the money. Okay? That's what these car companies are doing because the money tells you what you need to do. The money tells you what is selling. So if it's selling, you make it. And currently, mid-size SUVs are selling because people want mid-size SUVs. So be it. What are you going to do? You know, you can't force sedans down people's throats because you think it looks nice. But I would appreciate the return of sedans because I think they are a lot sleeker than the kinds of cars that are selling more nowadays.
I definitely hear you. I agree with you. I would love for sedans to come back, and I think they eventually will. The car that I want to be back the most, I'm going to go out of order, is the Lincoln Continental. I just happened to throw that in there, like you said. I think it was a stunning car, especially for the fact that you could open the back door and the front door had the handles next to each other, so you open the doors outwards.
Yeah.
Beautiful car.
Doors.
My favorite car. Definitely my favorite sedan that wasn't Japanese. I also would love to see the Avalon come back. I know that's probably not going to happen, but I would love to see the Avalon. The Avalon and the Continental, I would love to see back. Do I think it's going to happen? I do think that Lincoln will bring back the Continental as markets shift back towards sedans and to give themselves a little bit more of an upper hand on the market as well. Because their sedans were pretty good. Were pretty elite. The Avalon, I doubt, was going to come back, especially with the Crown in there. I do not see a future for the Avalon. I wish, but I doubt it's going to come back.
It's a great car. It's a shame it had to go.
Great car. Just a little long, and maybe we'll see it come back in 10 years, maybe back as the TRD Pro, and maybe they'll bring it back if people think the Crown is too big. But I would be shocked if they brought it back. I would love it to come back, but don't think it's going to happen. The manufacturer I want to make a sedan, surprisingly enough, is Fiat. I really want to see Fiat make a sedan.
You're really rooting for Fiat's comeback
because
here.
I think they could. They really could change their fate by making a sedan, a regular sedan. Hear me out. Since the sedan market is seemingly very small. Obviously, the competition is down to the Camry and the Accord. Those are the two top of the markets. But if Fiat could come in and create a sedan that's a budget sedan, because sedans now are not cheap. You can't get a sedan for under $20,000 unless you're getting like a Nissan Versa, which is $17,000, but with dealership markup it's probably around $20,000, or a Nissan Sentra, but still everything's over $20,000. If Fiat could come and return to their budget-friendly roots, come and give us a full-size sedan for under $20,000. It's kind of like the Slate pickup truck. You know, you heard of Slate? It's the startup by Jeff Bezos and some other guys. This each pickup truck startup company that you buy. It's under $25,000 for a base truck. But it's very basic. If you want to add power windows, it costs money. If you want to add
windows isn't. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's just a truck. It's just a truck. It could give you, let's say, 130 miles of range. It's a simple EV truck that's meant to be a budget-friendly truck. So if Fiat could come back and if Fiat can create in the next 5 years a sedan that is under $20,000, a full-size sedan under $20,000 that isn't brutal to sit in, that's seemingly comfortable, that's pretty comfortable, and has amenities that you would find on let's say, a mid or an entry-level sedan. Don't give me like a base sedan. Give me something that's good. Meaning, obviously Fiat won't be able to maximize their profits, but they will definitely be able to make a little bit of profit. Maybe even not. Even if Fiat doesn't make profit on it, I think it's worth it for the long run because people might shift back towards buying Fiats or buying this quote-unquote new sedan because it's under $20,000. That's what I would love to see. I would be over the moon. Even though I hate Fiat, but I would be over the moon
if they can fix their market, then like I'm only hating on them because they're ruining their car company. It's a shame to see it go. You know, I'm not rooting for the destruction of any, except for electric cars, but I'm not rooting for the destruction of a good American car company, they're American. I don't care. I just, took me a second. It's a shame to see them go, and they're ruining their car company. So if they can come back, then great, but I'm only hating on them because they stink right now. So like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Here, on to the next segment.
As always, thank everybody for watching and listening, or both. If you have any questions regarding your next purchase, your next lease of a car, which car you should get, if you should finance, if you should lease, what should you do if you're anxious about your next step, please reach out to me via my email at gavrielleviauto@gmail.com. My company, Levi Auto Group LLC, is a company of, trust me, so far, we are auto consultants. We are absolutely free for the time being. Please reach out with any questions. Please subscribe to the show. Please follow. Please share. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Have a wonderful evening.